Well, hello, I'm Henry Hirsch, and this is a video that we're making about a product that is doing drum sounds from the 60s and the 70s, which I have a lot of experience with. Just as a quick background on me, I started out as a piano player and got into recording music in my young 20s, and I've had lots of experiences recording records, luckily, that are allowing me the freedom to record in the manner that I do. Artists such as Lenny Kravitz and Mick Jagger. I was lucky and privileged to work with Michael Jackson, Madonna. I've done many records with a Japanese producer, Takashi Kobayashi. And in all these types of instances and all the groups that I've worked with throughout all the years I've worked, I've been using and recording with multiple techniques of analog recording that seems to be something that people are passionate about and that I've been allowed to be passionate as well about. And so I'd like to discuss basically the premise behind the idea of what we're doing, and with all the experience from these recordings that I've done, as well as all the recording studios that I've worked in, as well as numerous studios that I've built, the subject will go towards what studios were like in the 60s and the 70s and how that integrates with the recording equipment in terms of the sounds that we're trying to capture and that we're trying to offer to you that would be difficult to obtain without those environments. I had been looking for a recording space that was very square in shape and that had a specific sound to the room, which I've always been attracted to. And we were very lucky when we found this space because the room has dimensions about 60 by 40 with 35-foot ceilings. And the reason why it's important for me to have this type of location and this type of environment is the ability to record instruments in a way to capture them from many different angles. I discovered very early on that you needed to combine different lengths and distances from the sound source to the microphones. That especially with instruments like guitars and drums, instruments that are very loud, that our ears perceive those sounds much different than microphones do. It's impossible for me to achieve these sounds in smaller rooms in different environments that are smaller rooms. And so this led me to Hudson, New York with this church because it already had been, by chance, not by design, built in such a way that had an acoustic setup which was already favorable to doing the drums and the guitar sounds and vocal sounds, string sounds that I'm talking about. These samples and sounds were done on analog tape, which is something that I am pretty obviously a fan of. I love analog sound. I love when a tape machine is set up properly, and I love the way it forces the person recording to consider the performance aspect of the recording, meaning that it pushes someone to go to the limits of what they can do, and they have to lose themselves and be able to play a full performance, knowing that the technology, especially the technology in here, is rather slow and rather limited in terms of doing technical punches where you correct from one part of a performance to another. I knew that it was going to be very difficult to give someone a single sample of that energy. So what I tried to do was to get to that sound and get to that energy by using these techniques, at the same time trying to give high quality single hits of the single microphones so that you could use these sounds to hopefully improve or help you from the aesthetic of what you're trying to do. Because that's the point of what we're trying to do here. Using the influence that I'm hearing, the excitement that I'm hearing, and try to get that over to what that we've tried to accomplish with these samples. 20 years ago, you heard John Bonham. Yes, you heard Led Zeppelin because they sold X amount of records and they were very successful. But now that you can pretty much, at the snap of a finger, hear everything that's out there, it's become apparent to people that are younger that there was something going on back in the 60s and back in the 70s, back in the 50s. And in some cases have been confused about well, why am I having issues to try to capture some of that? What makes that work on that recording and not on another? And the answer is, well, you can't copy a recording. However, having the ceiling height, having the choices of microphones at your disposal to be able to listen and know the difference. Of course, experience helps with that. Having a recording console that doesn't necessarily have the 50 or 60 faders on it to have 30 or 40 microphones, that forces you into being concise. And so I found with the Helios console a very simple path, very elegant, simple sound to it, but one that could have extreme power in terms of what you could do with it. In terms of the operation of the desk, tricks that you could do with the desk, overdriving the desk, pushing the equipment to its limits, and then having 16 tracks on a tape machine, which does not allow you to become so specific with everything. Adds up, along with the quality control room, technically designed, to at least be on your side in your humble attempt to try to achieve those sounds. So I really would like to thank everybody for watching this and for choosing this sample package that we were able to do for everyone. And it was a lot of fun making these samples. There was a lot of hard work went into it. The team that worked with me did great at what they needed to do. Our drummer Ernesto, he put up with a lot, that's for sure. And Rachel Alina worked with me directly on every facet of this and kept me in this, always looking the right way. So once again, thank you for watching. I hope I didn't act like an old man. Thank you.